the day for the 34th Annual Polo Classic. The preeminent polo event in the Twin Cities is back Sunday, August 4th at the Twin City Polo Club. You can find out more at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Life is complete. The one and only Zach Halverson, or as I call him, Halvey, stopped by the KFAN studios. He's giving me travel advice.
Oh, that's actually, you know what? He probably knows a thing or two.
He does. I know he just did the cross-country thing, but we also were talking a little bit about Disney, and our family's a big Disneyland family, especially because my in-laws are in California, and they're from the unfun part of California, Northern California. There's really nothing that I can tell you about Northern California that's fun. It's brown. It's hot. I mean, steamy hot, like 100 degrees and hotter than that, typically, especially this time of year. But the further south you go, the more fun it is. And that's, of course, part of the fun there for Disneyland. I highly recommend it. He's wearing his Disneyland hat, as a matter of fact. Speaking of Disneyland, horrible transition, but we're going to go to Judd Brackett, Wild Director of Amateur Scouting. His Disneyland type of experience is coming up next week as they've got the NHL draft going to the Sphere in Las Vegas. Joining us now on the line, Mr. Judd Brackett. Judd, Kevin Falness, thanks for joining us here on KFAN.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for having me on.
I said it's your Disneyland. It's kind of like your Super Bowl, right? You build up all season long for these couple of days. This year it's going to be at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and I know you're very interested in adding to the talent pool here in Minnesota.
Yeah, no doubt. Super Bowl, Christmas Day, whatever you want to call it. I happen to be down in Florida now, so I'm maybe at Disney World.
What are you doing in Florida as we speak? Because, like I say, I doubt that you're at Disney World taking in the Magic Kingdom.
No, still working. We're a couple of us down here attending Dan Milstein's Gold Star camp, which, you know, for some of us is first live views on some of the players over from Russia. So getting a chance to meet some of these guys, watch them work out, watch them skate. So, right up till the draft. Still working.
Milstein is very active on Twitter, especially right now. So I feel like I'm there with you. I'm watching some of these prospects. What type of information are you trying to glean from this camp prior to coming to Las Vegas?
It's a chance for us to have live eyes on them, right? We've done a lot of video work this year, but this is, this situation is unique. And we're getting to the point now, too, where some of these players have never played in a Holinka or, and a lot of our scouts haven't had a chance to see them in person. So the in-person view is maybe just to affirm what we've seen on video, but more importantly, too, we get some time to sit down with them, get to meet them, know a bit more about them leading into next week.
What has the past couple of months been like leading up to the trip to Vegas? Besides just the camp they're going on for Milstein and company in Florida, what other things have you been doing to get ready for the big stage next week in Vegas?
Yeah, we had our entire staff in last week of May for meetings. So great to get everyone together, have some real good discussions leading into building our final list and then from there, a small group of us went to Buffalo for the Combine. So a lot of information gathering still here. Nothing that's earth-shattering, but some confirmations and maybe some small tweaks. But, right up until next week, we'll still be, if there's anything that we're still, want to double down on or get a better sense for, we still have a little bit of time. But for the most part, the work is done.
Prior to coming to Minnesota, you had 4 seasons with the Canucks. Now, I believe, if my math is correct, this would be your 5th draft with the Minnesota Wild coming up next week?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the names, and there's certainly more than I'm going to mention, but started with Marco Rossi, Marat Hustendinov got some time in the NHL last season, Liam Ogren, Jesper Wallstedt as well. How important is it for you guys to make a mark there on the NHL draft? We know how important it is for the prospect pool, and we're getting to see some of that, some of your handiwork over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, this is, the organization's easiest opportunity to add talent, right? We get, typically 7 picks a year, so we're adding 7 players to the organization. This is where, it's important that we get players that are cut from the cloth that we envision, that sort of that interweave with the fabric of our team that's on ice. And, like I said, this is a chance for us to add players that, that aren't at a cost, that don't involve contracts. So, we have to be sharp, and it takes a lot of forecasting, but a testament to the scouts, the whole scouting staff. This is a culmination of a year of work and pulling it all together. And it takes some hard conversations and some disagreements, but at the end of the day, we all feel good about it and get excited for next week.
You got a first-round pick, a second, a fourth, 2 fifths, and a sixth as we stand now going into the draft. That includes the 13th overall pick. From your mind's eye, what does the draft pool look like? Are we talking about a deep class for 2024, or how would you characterize, especially that first round where you're going to get a player in the upper half?
We like this draft as a whole. There's a little bit of everything. I think it's stronger from the D core standpoint than last year, which is exciting. But we think it holds steady through the first round, and there's an opportunity to add, not just a good player, but a player with some upside as well.
I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future, but I don't think Macklin Celebrini is going to fall to the Wild at number 13, and I really don't think they're going to let go of the number 1 pick there in San Jose. He's the guy that's going to get a lot of the spotlight over the course of the next couple of weeks, and already has leading up to the draft. What can you tell us about Macklin Celebrini? What makes him so great? Why is he the odds-on favorite to be number 1?
Look, I think he deserves the credit that he's receiving. Incredibly well prepared. I mean, it's amazing, not just as a freshman in college, but you look at his birthday. I mean, he did it as a 17-year-old the entire season. And it's not just the hockey sense and skill, but it's the way he takes care of his body. And the one resounding thing in his game is overall is his compete level, second effort. He's you don't want to compare him to elite players, but he's got some real special qualities. I think he's going to make his own name, and he's a special talent. And like you said, though, I don't think anyone's moving off the opportunity to get him.
You don't have to mention anyone in particular, but of course, we're going to pay special attention to the Minnesota kids that are in and available at the NHL draft. What does that pool look like as you scout the potential of adding to, whether it's for the Wild or the NHL in general? What's the Minnesota prospect group look like?
Look, Minnesota is doing an outstanding job overall in terms of development. You don't have to look far when even this year's national team development program, their 40-man camp. Look at the numbers, the sheer numbers alone that point to how many players in Minnesota are developing at a high rate. So that's no different when you look at this draft. You got players that are with the national program. You've got players that are still playing at the high school level and making their mark too. So it's an exciting time for Minnesota hockey, and I think it'll be well represented at the draft as well.
Talking to the Wild Director of Amateur Scouting, his name is Judd Brackett. They've been busy, and they'll certainly be busy next week in Vegas at the Sphere as the 2024 NHL Draft takes place. Let me ask you about a couple of your prospects. One guy in particular that is grabbing a lot of attention, the 2023 first-round pick, Charlie Stramel. Started off in Wisconsin, has transferred to Michigan State as a junior. What are you seeing in the terms of his development, and how will a move to East Lansing be a good move for him?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for Charlie to be able to use the portal and sort of have a fresh start at Michigan State. We envision, what he is. He's a big body, great skater, tremendous athlete, hard to play against, abrasive, sort of in your face style player. Listen, it's no secret. This was a challenging year for him. And I think a little adversity is always a good thing. And I think Charlie's ready to meet that challenge.
Handful of guys made their NHL debut last season, guys that you drafted under the Minnesota Wild umbrella. Your impressions of Marat Hustin-Dinov and Liam Ogren in particular?
Yeah, I think when you look at Marat, the first thing that jumps at you is the speed, and even coming over and getting his feet wet at the end of the year. I still think as he gets more comfortable, you'll see more and more speed in his game. But he's a tenacious two-way player, tremendous in the face-off circle, can penalty kill. He's got lots of versatility. But I think you'll see some of the offense develop as he gets settled in, but the first thing that's going to jump out is the speed. And then when you speak about Liam Ogren, I think you're remiss if you don't talk about how strong he is at his age already. He's man-like in a lot of ways. He's tenacious on the forecheck. He's got a good first step, and he can really shoot the puck as well.
Two quick ones, and we'll let you get on your way. Jesper Wallstedt, how have you seen him? Of course, made his NHL debut last season. That didn't go so well, but really carried himself well when he got the opportunity down the stretch. What have you thought about his development and how he continues to develop as he gets more and more opportunities, which very well could happen this season?
Yeah, I think the games late in the season speak to Jesper and his work ethic. He's a student of the game. He wants to make corrections. He's very coachable. We get that message a lot from the goalie coaches, that he's very responsive. So it's not just the talent, it's the drive too. He wants to be there. He wants to be the best. And I think that's why, he's on an accelerated curve. And to be honest, he has been for some time now.
You're going to the Sphere in Las Vegas. Of course, it's a business trip. You're going to be working. But what a cool place to hold the NHL draft. I remember when you guys did it over COVID. There was nothing glamorous about that process. You're going to be at the Sphere now. How excited are you? And have you been inside the Sphere yet?
I've never been to the Sphere. I think it's going to be incredible. I can only imagine. I've seen some of the images from concerts and how, the graphics and I imagine it's going to be a memorable draft for sure. Vegas is fun in its own right, but the Sphere makes it extra special.
Do you remember what it was like, the draft during COVID, and how painful that whole process for everybody in the entire world, not just the NHL draft, but to compare the two, it's got to be night and day.
Oh, I especially remember it because I had just gotten to Minnesota. I had actually yet to meet the scouts in person. So we were holding a draft, and I'd only ever been on Zooms and phone calls and emails and texts with the scouts. So that was like walking on the moon compared to this.
Well, I know you guys are having a blast down there in Florida. Travel safe. We'll talk to you next week in Vegas. Good luck, Judd. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate all the well wishes.
There he is, Judd Brackett, Wild Director of Amateur Scouting. Again, for the Minnesota Wild. They're doing their thing down there in Florida, looking at some of the Russian prospects delivered by one of the player agents. They're holding a camp down there. Take that information. I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff rattling around in his brain between his ears, but they're getting it all culminated and filed accordingly and getting ready for the NHL draft next week in Vegas. It's hard to believe the draft is right around the corner. The Stanley Cup finals haven't even wrapped up yet. It's incredible. We got Game 6 tomorrow night, potential Game 7 on Monday in Sunrise, Florida, if the Oilers can pull off the unthinkable and force a Game 7 after going down 3-0 in the series. But then you got the draft, you got free agency coming up on July 1st. That's followed by the prospect camp. You got the training camp, and then before you know it, we'll be dropping the puck on another season of Minnesota Wild hockey. Unbelievable that it's come full circle that quickly. It feels like the summer is just flying by. Brett, it's almost July already. And I look at the calendar and Chris Schaefer talking about summer solstice. It's already June 20th. Where's our off season going?
This is what happens when you wish away the summer, Kev. You wish away the summer.
I'm doing no such thing.
Well, we want hockey back. We want football back. We want training camp.
No, I'll take it when it gets here. I'm not going to wish for it to be here tomorrow. That's for sure.
Well, I want to hit the links. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I know. Well, if Chris Schaefer could do something about the weather outside, maybe we could make that happen as well. We'll take a break here. We got Lavelle E. Neal III joining us closer to the bottom of the hour. We'll go out to Target Field, get kind of a feeling what's going on with this Twins team that to some of us is just a rumor because we aren't able to watch them as we would like, but they're doing some good things. They're getting some good results outside of last night, and when they had their 6-game win streak stopped, they fall short against the Rays. But Lavelle can give us kind of an update of what's going on with the Twins from the belly of the beast down there at Target Field. But we're still continuing to take your texts, your emails, and your calls. In fact, we got Claire on hold. We'll get to her after a break. Give me some ideas, some thoughts. How do I make it from Minnesota to California if we're driving it 1,900 miles, probably 36 hours with 3 young boys and my wife? How do I get from point A to point B without everyone hating me? 64686, booth at KFAN.com. Send your recommendations in. And remember, always be complimentary. Man. The home stretch. Kevin Falness in for Paul Allen and Eric Nordquist. How about that? Twice in a week. Last Thursday we were in here and we reclaimed the state of hockey for the listening public. And I think it was a public service. It was something that needed to be done. We had to reset the bar. And again, love the fact that the Timberwolves went on that big run to the Western Conference Finals. I enjoyed everything about it. And there's the State of Hockey song. It's back again. I didn't even ask for that. I love it. I did.
I was going to let you just go.
I enjoyed everything about the trip to the Western Conference Finals for your Minnesota Timberwolves. Taking down the Denver Nuggets. Pushing the Dallas Mavericks to the edge. But in the end, they fell just short. And now they're done. So now it's time for us, once again, to plant our flag at center ice and reclaim the state of hockey. So that's what we've been doing. We did that all 3 hours last week, and I know there's been some hockey talk in here as well. So I don't apologize. I stand by the decision to make it a Hockey Center type broadcast. I can see you in your car. I know what you're doing. You're singing along to it. You might be ripping me via 64686, but you're loving the fact that we've got the State of Hockey anthem going over your speakers as we talk about a little Minnesota Wild hockey on June 20th, 2024. We will stand and defend our flag, flying high and free. We were born the child of the strong and wild. In the state of hockey. Very impromptu. I love it. Well, any chance? Yeah, goosebumps indeed. And again, I'm not wishing away the summer. It'll be hockey season soon enough. Let's enjoy it while we got it, and maybe Chris Schaefer can pull some strings here and get the Sun to make an appearance just occasionally here across the great state of hockey before the lakes freeze over. Let's go to the phone lines looking for travel tips. Claire's got one. Claire, how do I make it from Minnesota to California with a family of 5, 3 of them under the age of 14, without getting there and everyone wanting to strangle me?
Well, first off, Kevin, I just want to say you sound amazing. You're the greatest, and I'm sure you're just as cute as Boldy. I want to get that out the way.
Claire, you're doing a great job, by the way. Hey, you're following directions completely. I did this last Thursday. I text in whatever you want. That's fine. Don't rip me. Be very complimentary, and you have a very good chance of winning. And you're following the letter of the law, Claire. I love it. It was great for my Eagle last week. I had to bring it back. Be complimentary. Thank you. Claire, go ahead. And you're very right. I'm cute as a button.
I'm sure you are, sir. Though, to answer your question, how I get there road trip with my parents is the noise cancellation setting on my AirPods. You always have to block them out with the babbling and stuff,
Yeah. But what about...
we love doing random trivia.
Okay.
And I like spotting the license plates. We always look out for the Minnesota ones.
Of course. Very good tips there, Claire. That's good stuff. I like that. I did get another piece of advice to rent an RV. I'm not doing that. It's already a long road trip, and to do that, it makes it even worse. And I'm sure, I know Guardsy's done it. I think he drove to Wisconsin. We're not talking about driving to Wisconsin. Someone else says, oh, we did it on our road trips to Chicago. That's a piece of cake compared to what I'm talking about. We're driving probably through South Dakota, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming. Man, oh man, it's tough. And again, woe is me. If we're doing this to ourselves, I get it. But at the same time, try flying a family of 5 into California from anywhere, let alone Minnesota. Try renting a car for 2 weeks. It adds up. So yeah, it adds a little to the what we have to do as far as the price tag goes, but and the wear and tear on our car. But man, it's not easy. A couple of other ones who have chimed in here. Traveled 1,500 miles. We traveled to my parents in Crystal from Boston. That's a tough drive as well. Our solution was video game system. Our dog would sit between the boys. I got 4 dogs. We're bringing no dogs to this thing. When things went wrong, we called them family adventures. Thanks, Craig. That's a great example. I don't know, Brett. I'm having trouble here figuring out if this is a good idea or not.
Well, I can tell you if it's a good idea or not, but I'm not spending the money. So
I know.
it's easy for me to say.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, again, we're going to talk to Lavelle Neal III. We will get off the hockey conversation here at the bottom of the hour, and we'll turn our attention to the Twins and everything going on in the world of Lavelle Neal. I've talked to Gorgie. I've talked to John Hines. I've talked to Judd Brackett, a number of individuals about the Stanley Cup Finals. There, Brett, we got into it briefly in our News de Nord, but your thoughts? Are we going to have a Game 7 in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals?
I mean, I said Panthers in 6 from the beginning, and I think the Panthers are a more complete team. I think if one or two, I mean, this is obviously
they're against
hockey,
the ropes.
They absolutely are against the ropes, and Connor McDavid is putting the team on his back. Though, it could easily go to Game 7. I was bummed. I had a buddy who was at Game 5 who's been a diehard Panthers fan as far as long as I've known him, and I was really pulling for them to win so you could see. I mean, imagine seeing your team since you've watched them as a kid lift the cup right in front of your face.
Be amazing.
Oh my goodness, that would be a dream. I'd wake up, 2 minutes later for the Wild, at least for now. So hopefully that happens at some point. So yeah, I think a Game 7 could be happening, and environmentalists and jet airlines are not happy about it.
No,
boy, are those long flights.
I can't imagine being one of those bloggers having to make the trip from Edmonton to Florida. That's your chosen profession, but it can't be easy. And then, of course, then you got the travel on the team itself. But I'll guarantee you, Edmonton will gladly fly to Sunrise, Florida for Game 7 Monday night if they can pull off the unthinkable come Friday. And now it's not unthinkable. When they're down 3-0 in the series, that's unthinkable. The fact that they would have an opportunity to force a Game 7. Now it's on their fingertips. And I didn't like their chances coming out of Game 3, of course. And then after Game 4, I thought, okay, well, there's going to be a reckoning here. The Florida Panthers are going to awaken, and this is going to be over. There won't be a Game 6. There won't be a Game 7. But here we are. Now we're going back to Edmonton. It's going to be insane. And like we said with Gorgie, Rogers Place is going to be insane. I would love to be there. I'm not going to drive there. I have no interest in being there that bad that I would drive there to be there tomorrow night for the puck drop at 7 o'clock.
Well, it's on the way to California, right?
Yeah, well, Eveleth, whoever told me to go to Eveleth on my way to California to break it up, that's not in the cards.
Stop in Green Bay.
No,
and then
that's not how we're going to do it. And I have not had clarification on what Paul Dornbeck is. I don't know if I'm playing with fire here by asking someone to clarify that, but someone told me what the car game is, Paul Dornbeck, and how that gets me from Minnesota to California with my young family of 5. We'll take a break, and then when we continue, we're going out to Target Field. I think they're going to play baseball today. Twins hosting the Rays. Full preview of everything and anything going on with our buddy from the Star Tribune. He's a columnist now. His name is Lavelle Neal III, and he joins us next on the Pow. All the celebrities poking their head out of the woodwork. It tells me how bored all of you are across the great state of hockey with nothing to do other than listen to 100.3 KFAN, including Wes Walls. This is his suggestion. 5 kids have traveled from Minnesota to Kamloops, British Columbia every year since the year 2000 with truck filled with kids and a dog. Bribe the heck out of them. Good idea. Believe me, if we're driving, we will be bribing them. The blogger that is Michael Russo of The Athletic and theathletic.com, he's not following rules. You're supposed to be very complimentary towards me, and you're not going to be in the running for that autograph Matt Boldy Minnesota Wild uniform there, Russo. He says, I can't imagine spending that much time in a car with you. Boo to you, sir. Speaking of celebrities, let's go to the phone lines. Lavelle Neal III joins us, I assume, either at or on his way to Target Field for what the Twins and Rays. We hope that it's going to happen today, Lavelle. What's going on in your world?
Not much. If I were you, and I know because of that ridiculous salary you make working for the Wild, you could afford to rent a motorhome and just go on a road trip that way. And the kids will love it because it'll be a unique experience. So
now listen to me.
Don't be afraid to plunk down a couple grand to get the big rig going and to hit the road that way.
Here's the problem with that, Lavelle. Again, we're driving from Minnesota to California, and if I drive a regular car, a regular vehicle, that's 36 hours in the vehicle over the course of 1,900 miles. Now, if that's 36 hours in a regular car, in an RV, you're not going much over 65, I wouldn't think, right? So that's going to be a 50-hour trip. Hard pass.
You could test that theory, though. I mean, that's a hypothesis right now. Why can't a motorhome go faster than 65 miles an hour?
Well, someone would have to educate me on that. I don't feel real safe going much more over the speed limit in a rig that size. You're confined to the right lane. You're the burden on everyone else that's traveling that same road. And I got to do all the driving. Again, this isn't about women drivers. I'm talking about my wife in particular. I don't want to ride with her when she's driving a regular car. She's not going to drive 1 minute in an RV. I'm going to do all the driving for 50 hours. I just don't think this is a viable option.
That's too bad. I was also going to suggest just drive to Oklahoma. I believe it's Okmulgee, and that's where Ron Gardenhire keeps his motorhome. You could borrow it.
Oh, yeah.
And just drive west from Oklahoma.
Yeah, just some random guy. Hey, Gardy, Kevin Falness here, want to borrow your RV? Oh, sure. Here's the keys. Go ahead. Gas it up and good luck. No,
he's a friendly sort.
Were you the kind of guy that would travel much as a young lad? Like, I've been watching your Twitter, and I know you're traveling. I think it's your brother and your dad. They've been in town. Would you guys travel as a family?
No. My brother and I went to Pittsburgh last weekend for the Twin Series. Every June, which is his birthday month, we pick a Twins road trip to go on. And this year it was Pittsburgh. So I had a great time, except for the travel experience on Friday when I spent 11 hours at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. It was a really, really good trip. So it's funny you brought that up because my sister's coming to town next week, and she's going to spend about a week or two at my place. So it's going to be kind of crammed in there for a little bit. But so it's summer. This is the time to travel, man. And I take my brother to Arizona, Chicago twice, Kansas City, Cleveland, Tampa Bay. That was an outstanding weekend because we just were able to sit in front of the hotel till 3:00 in the morning with a bottle of bourbon, smoke cigars, and just talking it up. So yeah, it's been an annual thing now. The only thing that stopped was COVID.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like fun. Your Twins are having fun. I don't know if I should buy into them yet, though, Olavo. You'll have to tell me if this is real or a mirage. They're beating up on some pretty bad teams, but they've built themselves up a pretty gaudy record.
Yeah, it's dangerous to think, this may be the common man type team and maybe the best of the lousiest and the lousiest of the best, because they seem to do well against the weak teams, but they're 0-14 against New York, Baltimore, and Cleveland. And the Cleveland one is concerning because that's the team they're chasing down in the division. And if they can't beat Cleveland head to head, that's going to be troubling in terms of their ability to win a division. They can still make it as a wild card, but I think with expectations that this team was like a 91 team, and they haven't played consistently good baseball to show that. They've been fortunate with the star rotation. Samuel Woods Richardson has been a revelation, being able to come in and hold his own. They haven't had any injuries because they don't have a lot of depth simmering at St. Paul for them to rely on if someone goes down or someone really starts to pitch poorly. So that's something to watch. I like the bullpen. They can't get healthy. I don't even know what Justin Topa looks like. I saw him briefly in spring training, and he hasn't made an appearance yet this year. Brock Stewart's probably got the best arm in that group of relievers. He can't stay healthy. But the bullpen has still been effective. So, to me, it's this offense. What we've seen from this offense the last few weeks, is this real? We see what damage they can do when Correa and Lewis and Buxton are all hitting. The left-handed hitters have killed this team this year. Julian sent down. Warner sent down. Kirilloff sent down. Kepler got really hot at the beginning of the year. Cooled off a little bit. He's doing okay. But I think they're a little disappointed that their left-handed hitting has not been as lethal as they projected to be going into the season. But if this team can sustain offense like they have been last night's game notwithstanding, they can continue to make a charge here and make things interesting in September on the Cleveland Indians. The Cleveland Guardians.
The Guardians, yeah, exactly. You mentioned Royce Lewis, and I at some point think that he's going to wake up and come back to reality, but his numbers are amazing. And I don't even know if this is accurate, but what I looked up, 90 career games, 29 homers, and 74 RBI. I mean, this is legendary type numbers, right?
It's Ruthian, to be honest with you. It's ridiculous. This stuff I've never seen before. And the fact that he's lost so much time because of injury. He's had two torn ACLs, and then he had his recent injury. and it's his quad injury, and he's missed years of development, but he's still raking at the plate. It's rather remarkable, and so you're kind of rooting for him to stay healthy, just to see how much damage he can do. I mean, he's missed a grand slam. He hits the ball hard to all fields. He can hit home runs out to the opposite field. He's fast. He's athletic, and he's such a likable kid because he always has a perpetual smile on his face, and his charisma rubs off the right way in that clubhouse, man. So you want to see Royce stay as healthy as possible because he could be an elite player in this league. Not just for the Twins, but he could be a top 10 player in this league. The way he's hitting. Yeah,
he had a big offensive night again last night. Unfortunately, the Twins fell short against the Rays in extra innings. 3-2 was the final. Stops the 6-game win streak. I didn't see it, Lavo, but I understand a throwing error on Royce Lewis was part of the problem. Is that the yin and yang when you talk about Royce Lewis?
Yeah, for the most part, Royce has been pretty steady in the field, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But yeah, it did come up, and it shows you how you have to play clean games because even your best players aren't perfect, and they can make an occasional mistake like Royce did. Correa's been hitting the heck out of the ball the last 2 weeks, and he's had a couple errors during that span too. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen that they're going to boot a ball or misplace a throw and cause problems. You hope it doesn't come back to bite you, but it did yesterday with the Twins. And that's unfortunate, but they've been playing generally good baseball. Yeah. And, Correa's on a different level, but this is what I need to see out of the guy. Now, I've been on him a little bit on Twitter or X, whatever, about his production, and my thing is this. For what he did to sign with this team, he is supposed to be an elite player. And what he was doing 2 or 3 weeks ago wasn't elite. What's he done the last 2 weeks is very elite. Do I expect him to do this the rest of the season? No, he just can't hit at a high level. But expectations for him should be high because he's making $33 million a year. He is supposed to be a top-shelf player. That means offensively and defensively. And for the most part, he's done it defensively. But there's times offensively he hasn't done it. If you look at his career numbers, his numbers as a Houston Astro are better than his numbers as a Twin. And 2 years ago I got on him. He batted like 180 in August, and then he had a brilliant September to kind of prop his numbers up. Last year he had the foot problem, the plantar fasciitis that affected him at the plate. And this year he wasn't lighting it up until the last couple of weeks. So this is what I need to see more of this from Correa going forward for what his status in his club is. He's got to be a top shelf player, both sides of the ball, with the glove and with the bat. And let's see if he can continue what he's been doing lately.
Hopefully he and the Twins are electric today. It's the rubber match in the 3-game series with the Tampa Bay Rays. Twins have won 6 of their last 7. They did fall short last night, but they got the game going on. We've been told by Chris Schaefer, had him on earlier in the show there, Lavel, that this game will be played today at Target Field. He says that should not be a problem with the weather. So no tarps today at Target Field. I'm sure that will be warmly greeted by you and everyone else associated.
I don't know. I'm looking at the radar. I'm seeing a blob of rain headed in this direction.
Stop it.
It could hit this ballpark in the next half an hour, 45 minutes.
Enough.
They may get the game in today, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a delay.
No, stop it. Enough is enough. The guy that's going to toe the rubber, as they say in baseball words, Simeon Woods Richardson. What can you tell me about this young man? And you mentioned he's one of the things that you've been excited about for this team in the first part of this season. What are you seeing from him?
Well, the thing with Simeon is that he just wasn't impressive last year when the times he'd been called up. And also, to his defense, he was called up a lot to make one start and go back to the minors. So he never was able to get on a roll, get on a routine in the majors and show what he can do. And he's getting that now. The other thing, too, is that he changed his arm slot from last year, and all his stuff is playing up. He's throwing a little bit harder, and his pitches are a little bit sharper. I think he's gotten confidence from that, and he's been able to pitch with it. I look at his stuff. I don't see strikeout stuff, but he makes it work. He does a good job with throwing strikes. He uses off-speed stuff, and he pitches. And he's got a little bit of. He can touch 94 at the fastball. So, he has shown how you cannot just give up on the guy if he's not succeeding right away. And the few times he gets a chance to play at the major league level, and he's made adjustments. He's made himself better. and he's helping the Twins out big time. Because like I said before, they don't have a lot of starting pitching depth. You usually need like 8 or 9 starters to get through a season. The Twins, I think, have used 6. I think they have with Varland and Woods. I may be missing one guy, but I think they're kind of playing with fire. They should be looking for rotation depth at the trade deadline if they can actually swing a deal for someone. Because like I said, if someone goes in a bad slump or if someone gets injured or a couple guys get injured, they're going to have to dip down in St. Paul and maybe pull out Randy Dobnak for a start here. And Dobnak hasn't pitched in the majors in several years. So let's just hope that for the Twins' sake, that Woods Richardson can continue to be as effective as he is right now. That's been really one of the plus developments for the Twins during the first half of the season.
A couple more here. We'll kick you loose, get you ready for the Twins and Rays. Again, it's a first pitch of 12:10 coming up in a half hour, assuming the rain holds off there from Target Field. I don't know if you heard Royce on with Barrero yesterday. For fans out there that didn't hear it, go back and podcast it, listen to it once and maybe twice, even 3 times. It was that good. But a lot of that conversation was about Willie Mays passing away earlier this week. I know you've done some research as well about Willie Mays, not only his time here in Minnesota, but as a baseball historian and a guy that follows the game as closely as you, when I talk about Willie Mays and his impact on this game, what comes up to the top of your mind?
Well, as a kid grew up in Chicago, I just heard about Willie Mays. And you saw the replay of the Vic Wertz catch when he had his back to the home plate and rushed straight back and made an incredible catch. And what made that catch even more spectacular was that he immediately spun around and got the ball back into the infield to keep a runner from advancing another base, which was really impressive. Being a kid, I read books about the greatest players in the game, and I was mesmerized with Hank Aaron and his home run hitting ability. But Willie Mays is doing it all. And the thing about Willie too, 660 home runs, it's still 6 all time. In this era, as I pointed out in the column today, when I went over to Tony Oliva's house and we started rummaging through his stuff to try to find a picture with him and Willie Mays. The thing about the 660 is one. It kind of withstood the test of time because the PED era and juice ball seasons, those guys, a few of those guys have passed them, but it hasn't been a lot. To still be 6 all time in a category for someone who played in the 50s, that's pretty doggone impressive. 2, he missed the entire year. I'll make sure years. He missed the last 4 months of the 52 season and all the 53 seasons because of military service requirements. And if he played those games, could he have hit 700? Could he have hit more? Could he have passed Babe Ruth? We'll never know. But 660 home runs is nothing to sneeze at. And you just watch the highlights and you read about him, and you're like, this may be the most complete ball player in the history of the game. And a lot of people have arrived to that conclusion. But to me, the story of Willie Mays cannot be told unless you mention the 35 games he played with the Millers, because people fell in love with him and they were outraged when the Giants caught him up to the majors, And I just had a book released a week ago called The Franchise, a curated history of the Minnesota Twins. And I wrote about how Major League Baseball came to the Twin Cities. And I saw evidence in papers as early as 1952 that there was a discussion about trying to bring a Major League team to town. And I can't help to think that the whole ordeal with Willie in 1951, when he only played 35 games for the Millers, may have gotten people thinking, you know what, we don't want to be a farm team anymore. Let's get our own Major League team so we could keep a Willie Mays with us, So that's an interesting part of Twins history. But sorry for the shameless plug, but my book is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com. And you catch me on the street, I may have a few books in the back of my car I can sell you as well. So it's a great book. It's got essays covering the entire history of the franchise. And it could be a great belated Father's Day gift or early Christmas gift, I guess.
Early Christmas gift. Oh, my goodness. That's great. If I ran into you at Allery's, would you have a couple of those books on you that you could sign?
That happened yesterday. I was at Allery's because they're doing soft openings this week before they're reopening in a couple of weeks. And then 2 guys were like, hey, where can we get your book? I said, well, I got a couple in the car. I ran and grabbed them and made a sale right there. So and autographed them as well.
Look at you.
I'll be doing more of that here. And then I got book signing scheduled. Over the next couple months, I'll be at 3 Barnes & Nobles, the one off Lake Street, the one at Harmar, and the one in Edina, signing books. So there'll be publicity leading up to those appearances, so look out for that as well.
You're a man of the people. I've never given you an invitation to swing down. You don't need one. You can swing down whenever you want to the radio studio there at XL Energy Center. I hope you'll pop in on a more regular basis. I enjoy our conversations both on the mic and off, and hopefully we can talk about your terrible Chicago Blackhawks and Chicago Bears teams ad nauseum.
Well, one, I like stopping by the studio because I want to see what aromatherapy you're practicing that day. And two, the Blackhawks aren't going to be down for long, and the Bears are actually going to be better than the Vikings this year. So
stop it! You don't think that's true, do you? That's hyperbole. You don't mean that.
The Bears had a top 5 defense the last 10 weeks of the season after they traded for Montez Sweat. And the quarterback, Caleb Williams, has probably the best receiving core in the league with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and the rookie Roma Duze. So the offense should be much better, and the defense continues to improve. And the Bears were 7-10 last year and blew 2 fourth-quarter leads, which could have put them in the playoff conversation. So I like their chances this year to make the postseason. I
smell a wager. I think the Vikings finish ahead of the Bears in the standings. What that means in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. But we're coming up with a wager there, Lavo. The Purple will finish ahead of the Bears this season. No question in my mind.
You're armed with that bet. You come up with some parameters, and I'll try to sign off on it.
Awesome, dude. Enjoy the afternoon in Target Field. I hope you stay dry, and we'll chat again soon.
All right. Take care, man.
Lavelle E. Neal III, columnist extreme for the Star Tribune. What do you think, Brett? I know you're a big football guy. You fall on the Packers. I'm not saying the Vikings or the Bears are going to overtake the Packers or the Lions, but I like maybe I've got Barney purple dinosaurism that I am picking the Vikings to finish ahead of the Bears. I'm not sold on the Bears in any way, shape, or form.
Anytime that we can poo-poo on the Bears parade, I'm in. So, yeah, I have no love lost for the Bears at all. It's the blind hope and confidence that makes the Bears' inevitable collapse just so delicious.
I think so, too.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Caleb Williams, you never know.
Again, I'm not in any hurry for football season to get here. When it gets here, I'll love it and we'll watch it and it'll be fantastic, but there's no hurry. I'll tell you what, I've got a reward. The autographed Minnesota Wild jersey signed by Matt Boldy. I'll do that off the air. So if you get a text from me, you're the winner. I promise I will do it. I'll use Brett as a example, and we'll put it on the Twitter so you can see who exactly won. Some great examples, some thoughts on how to make that trip work without everyone ending up hating each other. That's my goal, to end up still being a family and in love with each other when we get on the other end of those 1,900 miles and then do it in reverse. One guy says, tell your in-laws you're tired of watching their grandkids. Send them on a plane. You and your wife stay home and relax. Oh, my God, if it was only that easy. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to John Hines, Judd Brackett, Chris Schaefer, Lavel as well for joining us here. Gorgie in for an hour. Brett Blakemore, fantastic job as always. Thanks for hanging out and listening for the past 3 hours. We've got Teneby and Dan Cole, the Common Man, coming up next. Thanks for listening to KFAN.
Today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.